Hey friend, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and in this video, we're going to talk about the Mac software light key. Now, I have reviewed this software in the past, and you can check that out here. But in this video, we want to talk about, okay, if you're looking at an intermediate lighting console, and you've been following the channel this month, and you've seen me talk first about what intermediate console we should buy, or rather, should you buy an intermediate console? And then began to talk about the LightShark and give you some pros and cons of it. It's not perfect for everyone, but it's a really good console for those who are looking at an intermediate level console. Today, I want to look at Light Key and explain some of the things, some of the reasons why people go with Light Key over something else, and why it might be really good for you. Now, as I've mentioned before, and I mentioned in the LightShark video, the real key to know about whether an intermediate console is right for you, and check that full video on choosing intermediate consoles for more, is when you look at more basic consoles and you say, okay, this is too simplistic for what I need. And then you look at the professional grade consoles and you say, wow, that looks like a huge learning curve. I don't think I'll ever use half of that stuff. I don't want that. Okay? When you fit in the middle of those, you get the intermediate console, which Light Key is one of. Now, the biggest strength, I would say, of Light Key is that it's super easy to use, and they do a good job of walking you through, when you set up your show, walking you through how to set it up and everything to do. Okay, those are the biggest strengths of Light Key. The next big strength that I see people really flocking to Light Key for is how simple it is to get MIDI control of Light Key, meaning that you can trigger it with programs like ProPresenter or Ableton Live or things like that. Not only that, if you do use Ableton, there's a more direct integration as well that allows you from within Ableton to just drag your scenes on to the Ableton timeline, and they just play back through. I believe it's still through MIDI, but it's a little bit of a closer integration. Okay? And so, if you're looking at an intermediate level lighting console, and you're looking to sync things through music and you like Macs, then Light Key is probably your best option. The LightShark also can be triggered via MIDI or OSC, and you could use these programs to trigger it, but the ProPresenter or Ableton to Light Key workflow is smoother. It just is. Okay. Now, on the negative side, really, what I find with Light Key is when you start to get, and I've talked about this before, I think I mention this about every time I work with Light Key, it's that when you start to get, probably I would say over about 20 lights, it depends on how many types of lights you have, say 20 lights and 6 types of lights, okay? Maybe some PARs, maybe some LED fixtures, maybe a type of mover or 2. When you start to get above this point, this is where Light Key really shows its weaknesses, and you can start to see that it struggles. Okay, not that you can't run that many lights with Light Key. Sure, you can buy a Light Key license, and I've got my link below that gets me a small commission if you do purchase, but at no additional cost to you. It's an affiliate link, but you can control up to 2 universes, right? You can buy that, you can purchase it, you can control it. But when you start to get over that 20 fixture mark, it really becomes difficult to program in Light Key, because the palettes on the side don't work like a lighting console like LightShark or Onyx does. In these professional grade consoles, or LightShark's intermediate level, but it operates on that same mentality, that you take, say you have a palette that you're building for your show, okay, for the color red. You take every light that can turn red, and you make it red, and you put it into that palette. Then the workflow goes, you select only the lights you want, you press the red palette, and only the lights you selected turn red. Now in Light Key, you can't really do that. There are what are called preset palettes on the side, but you have to make a red palette for each selection of lights that you would want to possibly put in a queue. And if you have a lot of lights, that can be a lot of different selections, right? It could be all of one type of light, or all of one type of light on a particular truss, or all of the lights on a particular truss. you can see there just with an example of just two types of lights and some different positions that you could have 12 or 15 different sets of preset palettes that you've now got to build, and you've now got to go ahead and somehow get that organized real smoothly on the side and into your cues. So is LightKey right for you? This is a short and sweet one, but I think it is enough. LightKey is not the end-all be-all for everyone. But for those who really like Macs and who want something simple, and especially if you're going to rely heavily on that MIDI integration and you want it to be really easy, MIDI or Ableton, then give LightKey a good look. They have a demo. You can download it. You can try it. You can output to up to 24 channels, I think, with it for free. And, the best thing that I always say to people is the best demo is testing out the software. Even if you don't hook it up to lights, just being able to get in there and say, okay, now I'm turning lights on. Now I'm moving lights. Now I'm storing that. Even if you can't see all that conceptually, you start to get an idea, okay, is this program easy to work with or is it difficult for me? Because LightKey, I would say, more than other consoles, fits a pretty narrow band of users. Those who like it really like it, and it works amazing for them. But for everybody else, LightKey's not the right fit for them, and I'm not afraid to say that. So if you like this, be sure to subscribe here for our next video. Like this video, and in our next video on LightKey, we're going to talk in the same playlist about output options and physical hardware, because like faders and buttons. Because with LightKey, you have a lot of options, and you need to factor that in when you're buying a LightKey system. It's not just the cost of LightKey itself. There are other devices that you need to have in order to make it work. We'll talk about that in the next video. I'll see you there. Thanks.